Hello and welcome to this week's video preview of the Michigan football game. This week the Wolverines travel to Penn State where they'll face the Nittany Lions. I'm Pete Bigelow here with my colleague from AnnArbor.com, Michael Rothstein. And Mike was just saying something very interesting. We're going to disagree off the bat this week. Mike thinks this is the most critical game of Rich Rodriguez's tenure thus far. Mike, go ahead and defend your position.
It's very easy. Right now they have lost 2 in a row. They're in a very similar juncture to last year, where if they lose at Penn State, a Penn State team that's just bad. They're just not a good Penn State team. They have a ton of injuries on defense. They don't know if their starting quarterback's going to play. If Rich can't get his team to win this game, Illinois doesn't look that bad. Got to win then at Purdue when they haven't really won on the road, and then you have the arguably two of the best teams in the Big Ten the rest of the way. So who knows if a slide's going to happen again? And if a slide happens again, who knows what happens with his status? So therefore, that's why I think it's the most critical game in his tenure. He has to win to show he can right the ship.
I agree with you that this is a similar setup to last year where the Wolverines went on the slide throughout the end of their Big Ten schedule. But to call it the most critical game of his tenure when I think it's a very difficult task to bring a young team into Happy Valley and expect to win. I just don't see this as any different than the Michigan State game of 2 weeks ago. I think would be more critical than this week.
See, that's where I just disagree with you there, because that Michigan State game 2 weeks ago, they were 5-0. They were riding momentum. Everyone knew that Michigan State team was pretty good. Most people know this Penn State team is not good. This is a Penn State team that lost by 20 to Illinois. And it's a Penn State team that just hasn't shown any signs of offensive life. So if your defense is all of a sudden giving up a ton of yards against this team, that shows that this defense isn't going to be able to stop anybody the rest of the year.
Well, I don't think that there's any expectation that the defense is going to
stop
but
if they go 5-7 again.
I think you're looking too far ahead at games that they're not even at the schedule to call this one the most critical. I think you have the number 10 scoring offense in the Big Ten is Penn State. Number 9 scoring defense is Michigan. I think it's a very even battle between two subpar units in that respect. But I don't think that this in any way is a defining moment of Rich's 3-year tenure here. I think there's already been more key moments than whatever happens in Happy Valley.
But I think for whatever pretends for the future for Rich at Michigan, success, failure, or otherwise, a lot of it's going to be looked back to this game. Because if you show you can win at night at Penn State, good Penn State team or bad Penn State team, that will give your team confidence. It will also show that yes, there is progress being made because you're going to be bowl eligible. And you're going to show that you can win a night game in a hostile environment. They haven't had to do that yet.
I think you're right. I'll agree with you in the sense that a Michigan win this week is probably more important than a Michigan loss as far as whatever it portends for the future. But I still say the Michigan State game from a few weeks back was more important than whatever happens this game and what happens later on this season at home against Wisconsin, on the road against Ohio State. Those are far more important to the future of the Wolverines compared to this game. Big night game, but other than that, I think there's many more games even this season that are more important. In the end, how do you see it shaping up?
Well, Pete, I know I said it's the most critical game in Rich Rodriguez's tenure, and here's the thing. I think they're going to win because Penn State has not shown any signs of life on offense this year. Evan Roycer has been mediocre at best, and he was supposed to be one of the best running backs in the Big Ten. And their quarterback situation is so unsettled, be it Bolden, be it Newsom, or be it McGolan, that you just don't know what you're going to expect from them. And that's a chance that Michigan's defense might be able to capitalize on. If they can't, then you have to really be concerned about who they can stop the rest of the way. That said, I like Michigan's offense against a depleted Penn State defense. I like Denard Robinson maybe finally healthy for the first time in a few weeks to do a lot, maybe get 450 yards of total offense. And I like Michigan to win 24-17. What do you think, Pete?
Mike, I think you hit on 2 of the key points. The uncertainty of the Penn State quarterback situation is going to have a lot to do with the outcome of this game, depending on who starts. I think something else that's important to remember, Michigan 6-1 this decade coming off the bye. Rich Rodriguez in his tenure 7-1 coming off the bye, going back to his days at West Virginia. I think Michigan's going to be well rested. At the same time, I think it's a very tough task to ask the young Wolverines to go into Happy Valley and win a game on the road. Only 2 Big Ten wins on the road under Rich Rodriguez so far. That's probably why I like Penn State in this one, 24-20. I think they're going to get Evan Roycer going for the first time this season.